feel like a lot of my existing clients from lash extensions did help me kickstart. Also, at the time, there wasn't really anybody in the area that offers the sort of treatment that I do. I personalize and tailor every treatment to each individual client. I like to have it more of a experience coming to the appointment rather than you just come, you get your treatment, you go. I'm also very much myself as a person. I never pretend to be anyone else. Very authentic, and I feel like people really like authenticity, and they also really like honesty too. I've
Mm.
always been very honest with all my clients about expectations and results that they can achieve, and I feel like just through a combination of all those things, the main driver that I get new clients is definitely word of mouth.
Hello, and welcome back to the Face It podcast run by Faces Consent and Nap by practitioners for practitioners. I'm your host, Jess, and today we have a brand new face to the podcast. Actually, I think we're revisiting, aren't we, actually, Ellie? We're revisiting Ellie. I think she was on about a year ago with our lovely Holly, who's obviously left the pod now. I just want to mention, though, of course, don't forget you can rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. There's so much information now, tips, industry advice available on the pod, as we do hit over 100 episodes this summer. You can share us with your industry friends, let them know about all the free tools that we offer now at Faces. It's the perfect kickstart to any new business. If you'd like the chance to come and chat to me about your experiences, share your stories, your expertise, then of course let me know. You can find us on Instagram at FaceItPod, or you can obviously message me personally at Jess_Messenger. It is though now time, of course, to introduce our guest, bring her back onto the pod. So welcome again, Ellie Jean from Ellie Jean Aesthetics. Welcome to the Face It podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really glad to be back on the pod. I've been really looking forward to this.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for joining us again. So we're going to just kind of go back into a few details about you and your background, just to reintroduce listeners who maybe are quite new to the podcast. We've grown quite a bit in the last year, so it may be that they've just never heard from you. So if you can tell me a bit about you and what you were doing before you came to aesthetics.
So my name is Ellie Jean, and like you said, my business is called Ellie Jean Aesthetics. I'm an advanced aesthetics practitioner, and I own a salon in Livingston where I stay called Hot Since 99 Salon. I originally started off doing eyelash extensions. That was like my forte. And then in January of 2022, I decided to go on a course for aesthetics. So prior to going on my course, I had done my level 4 in anatomy and physiology, and then I travelled down south for 8 days to learn basic Botox and lip filler treatments. And since then, yeah, my business has just took off. I've really, really loved my job.
At what point did you decide? So, how did you start working in another clinic? Did you hire a room or a chair? Did you go straight into opening your own place? Like, how did that develop for you?
So originally, I was working from my garage. I had a conversion done in my garage at home, and had that converted into a clinic. So had sink installed, everything like that. And originally, I was working from there, and then it just got to the point where I was getting maybe a little bit lonely working on my own. And I really was thinking, what's next for my business? So the next thing for me was definitely to decide to open my salon, which opened in May last year. So we've just hit our 1 year anniversary a couple months ago.
Oh,
Um,
congrats.
Thank you so much. But yeah, it's just been ever since then, business has just grown, gotten busier, the salon's thriving. So it was a really good move for me.
Yeah, that's really good news actually, because I mean, I don't know if you're in a lot of these aesthetic groups and stuff like that on Facebook, and you see a lot of this at the moment, people panicking that it's oversaturated, that it's really, really hard for newbies coming in and opening their own clinics. And it's nice to hear, I think, that you really only opened yours, what, a year ago? And
Yeah.
actually, it's thriving and you are seeing that success.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really, really nice to hear. I think it's the narrative that we don't hear a lot of at the moment in particular. Um,
Mhm.
and I think, you've established yourself, you've got a really good brand identity. Do you think that that plays a role in that? You've kind of managed to create your own environment and people book in for you, but they also book in for, that aesthetic and that feel to the business.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that makes a difference. That's a big driver for clients. They want to make sure that the environment that they're coming in to get a treatment is makes them comfortable. They want to go somewhere where the practitioner they can have a good relationship with them. They trust them. And yeah, I feel like that has really made a difference. Being in the salon environment too. I've got 7 other members of staff who all do different things, and we've kind of all been able to share clients that way as well. If I ever have clients in getting treatments, they maybe see the girls who do nails, and then they book in with them. So it has made a big difference. And the salon is a really, really nice environment. People really enjoy coming there. We're very accepting of everyone. And yeah, it's just a really, really good environment.
How did you go about finding your 7 members of staff? Was it people that you'd worked with previously? Did you just sort of put a little bit of a bulletin out like you're looking for people? Was that part of your game plan when you opened the clinic that you wanted to have like multiple disciplines in there? Like how did that evolve?
So when I first opened the salon, I did already have one member of staff that was planning on coming with me. It was someone, a girl called Asha. I'm friends with her. So she was my first member of staff that I had in the salon. And then gradually we did advertise on social media. However, I feel like it was more through like word of mouth. And
Mm,
where I stay in Muirston and Livingston, there's only one other salon that's primarily a hairdresser's. So there was kind of like a gap in the market there too. The
mm,
location that we're in, there's a lot of footfall, and we have good parking at the salon. So a lot of people were drawn to working somewhere like there. It was also a
mm.
brand new it was a unit when I first moved in, so I had built everything from complete scratch. So it was really fresh, really new. Um, so yeah, through social media, but then also just through word of mouth. It's at the point now where we're at full capacity. I've had a couple people who have asked if they would be able to come and work in the salon, but we actually don't have
Mm.
room for anyone else anymore. So maybe a second location pending, who knows?
Yeah. No, congrats. And I think, like you say, did you do a bit of due diligence on the area and sort of be like, I want to make sure that there's not lots of these type of clinics, or did it just happen to be the right space and you just sort of went for it? Like, how did that work?
So I had actually been to visit a couple different locations to kind of establish what would be best for me. I did have a sort of criteria that I wanted to make sure that the building had. And the fact that that was a unit that was it was just bare concrete. So I could really start from scratch and build it into exactly what I wanted to be. The salon's also only a 3-minute drive from where I stay, so it's very,
Wow.
very good location for myself too. We're right next to a train station as well, one of the
Okay.
train stations, Livingston South, so it's really accessible for clients if they're traveling through from, like, Edinburgh, Glasgow.
Mm.
I'd say, yeah, those were the main factors that I thought about when I was looking at getting the clinic.
Yeah, the fact you've got parking as well, like it's a massive thing, isn't it? And I think making it, and it's easier said than done, but making it as accessible as as a place to go as possible and not assume that
Yes.
everybody's going to be able to just walk around the corner or is going to be able to drive. That always really, really helps. So
Yes.
what was the light bulb moment for you in choosing a career in aesthetics? You were doing lashes originally. So what sort
Mhm.
of led to that leap?
So I've always had an interest just in the beauty industry in general. I really loved with lashes seeing clients, making them feel better about themselves, building relationships. I've always loved aesthetic treatments. As soon as I turned 18, got my lips done. And then, yeah, I was just so interested in that from the start. I've also got a lot of interest in like human biology and the science behind it too. I never really enjoyed school. However, when it comes to that side of things, I was always really interested in it. And I love learning new things. So I just decided to go on the course. And as soon as I started, I knew that that was the career for me. I've always enjoyed doing it. And since I first qualified back in January 2022, I've really, really just excelled. I feel managed to improve my skills. And yeah, I just absolutely love my job. I wouldn't do anything else for a job.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear. When you first opened and started doing aesthetic treatments, then did you find most of your clients through your lash clients? Was it a lot of word of mouth? Friends, family? Because you've built that. If you think about the timeline, you've built this very quickly from sort of
Yeah,
qualifying 2022 to owning a salon with 7 other practitioners working with you in there.
yeah.
That's amazing growth. Like, well done you on that.
Thank
Congratulations. So, that's one of the number one questions I see a lot on the groups that we get quite a lot through the podcast. How do I grow my client base? And I feel like you're in a really good position to help answer that because it's so recent that you've done it. As I say, I go
yeah.
back to that worry that everyone's got that it's oversaturated and that there's not enough clients and
Mhm.
there's no room for this. And actually, you've disproved every single one of those in the last 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah. So definitely I feel like a lot of my existing clients from lash extensions did help me kickstart. Also at the time there wasn't really anybody in the area that offers the sort of treatment that I do.
Mm,
I personalize and tailor every treatment to each individual client. I like to have it more of a experience coming to the appointment rather than you just come, you get your treatment, you go.
mm,
I'm also very much myself as a person. I never pretend to be anyone else. I'm very authentic, and I feel like people really like authenticity, and they also really like honesty too. I've
mm,
always been very honest with all my clients about expectations and results that they can achieve. And I feel like just through a combination of all those things, the main driver that I get new clients is definitely word of mouth.
mm.
Um, like to give you an example, I have one client who works in Sainsbury's. She came to me to get a couple of treatments. Next minute, I feel like the whole staff at Sainsbury's were at my door wanting
Amazing.
treatments. So I definitely feel like that makes a difference. And also, I feel like you kind of need to make yourself stand out from the crowd a little bit. Don't
Mm,
try and do what everyone else is doing. Be, like I said, really authentic and honest with people. And yeah, just keep driving, push all your content out there. Friends and family sharing things. Um, advertising on socials.
mm,
Yeah, I think if your heart's in it and you really do have a passion for it and that drive, then you will manage to succeed. I've worked really, really, really hard the
mm,
past 2 years, 2 and a bit years to get to where I am. I'm talking like sometimes no days off, whether that be doing
mm.
clients or whether that just be admin related things, content related things. I just put my all into my business. That's been my number one priority for the past couple years. And I feel like that hard work and that dedication, definitely, I've seen a big payoff from it.
Yeah, nothing trumps hard work, does it?
Yeah.
We're in a sort of this anti-graft society, as I like to call it at the moment, and the more and more practitioners that I speak to, the more that is the complete opposite of the reality. And while I completely am on board with the, not burning yourself out, I get all of that, and that's, yeah, completely right. However, I think it's a disservice to all of those business owners that do graft really, really hard to get where they are, to say that graft is not part of that puzzle,
Yeah.
because it is. It doesn't happen without putting in the hours, without putting in the education, without putting in, further development, all of the admin, the social media. it requires graft. So that's just, yeah, one little message I want to get across there. And every single one of you that I speak to has done just that. That's kind of in
Yeah.
that more successful position now. How have you balanced in the last couple of years? How have you tried to balance your mental health, your physical well-being? You're working sometimes back to back shifts, like from one week to the next. Sometimes you're probably working 14 days in a row by the sounds of it. So how do you grab those little moments just for Ellie?
So I definitely say I make them when I do have time off of work, I definitely make sure that I'm doing things that I enjoy. I'm spending time with friends, with family. I also really love a good holiday. I've already
Mhm.
been away, I think, 6 times this year, and I've got a good
Oh,
few more holidays
congratulations.
coming up.
Nice.
So I just make sure that I do book the time off, and I used to feel very guilty about taking time off.
Mm,
Um, like you said, when you're grafting and all that, like, it is easy, I think, to feel that sort of guilt when you're not working.
absolutely.
However, now I do just make sure that I have that good work-life balance. When I'm on holiday, I do not go on my phone to answer messages or anything like that. I love to post on my business page what I'm up to when I'm off work because my clients do like to see that.
Yeah.
However, I feel like now I've put a system in place where I'm always on top of my messages. I set aside a set amount of time every single day to book in clients and to do social media. And also, yeah, just make sure that on my days off, I am actually doing things that I enjoy and making time for myself. And I try and switch off out of those hours that I'm not dedicating to work.
It's so important, isn't it? It's funny, I was literally having a conversation with a friend this week who's also a practitioner that's very new setting up their business. So they're in that real heavy graph phase, that first sort of 6 months.
Yeah.
And she's also doing other qualifications as well, and a prescriber course as well. So
Wow.
I think there's just a lot going on. And we've literally just been having this conversation this week of that guilt that she feels. And I think it's normal. I think we all go through that, but you have to find a way out of the other side. And at the end of the day, if you're ill and if you run yourself into the ground, there is no business because you can't then work anyway. So there is a fine line. Yeah, the graft is a thing. It does need to happen. However, it needs to happen around downtime and trying to absolve yourself of any guilt about having that downtime. But kudos to you for taking 6 holidays this year. I think I need to take a leaf out of your book, to be honest.
Oh, well, I
Um,
didn't. I went away only twice last year, so I made sure that this year I was
Made up
getting my
for it.
holidays. It's also worth me mentioning as well because I do not have any other commitments, as in I don't have children.
Mm.
So I think it can sometimes be easy for me to say to balance it that way, but yeah, I also do not have other commitments, so that is worth noting too.
Yeah, yeah. There's another layer there, isn't there, when you bring in
Yeah,
children and family and stuff into the mix as well. There is another layer.
yeah,
We'll
totally.
bring it on to industry a little bit now then. I'm interested to know your thoughts on it. There's obviously a lot of debate at the moment around the medic versus non-medic. I was intrigued to know what your standpoint is on that. Obviously, we don't know what's happening with the regulations at the moment. We know there's probably something coming in the next year or two.
Um, I am glad that the regulations are coming in. I think that it definitely needs to happen, and I am looking forward to when they actually announce what will need to be done for that.
Mm,
I feel like there is a lot of debate, obviously, around medics and non medics. And the way that I kind of view it is, I have been in the past 2.5 years, the amount of time, money, effort that I have put into training to ensure that I am able to provide treatments to the best quality, the knowledge that I have accrued over those couple of years is not something that I've done easily. I've worked really, really, really hard. And I also have friends who are medics,
mm,
and they have openly said to me, the stuff that you know, I do not have a clue about
mm,
because it's a whole other different ball game aesthetics. Because
absolutely.
realistically, there should be maybe a university course that you could go on, which is solely based off of aesthetics because it is completely different to
Mm.
any other industry. I do feel like the regulations coming in will weed out the people that don't take this seriously, that see it maybe as a money maker,
Mm.
that go on cheap 2-day courses and then next minute they're injecting people. I do think
Mm.
that that is a big concern, and I also have seen a lot of clients come to me, and I've had to carry out corrective work on because the practitioner has not been qualified to deal with the issues that they have
Mm.
caused. One of them actually being a medic that,
Wow.
yeah, was dealing with a vascular occlusion that didn't know how to administer hyaluronidase, so I then had to take that on myself, which was slightly frustrating because I feel like, yeah, there is they do put that non-medics are not qualified to deal with this sorts of things, but I definitely feel like the knowledge that I have got, it puts me on the same sort of
Mm.
level as in, the complications courses that I've attended, even first aid treatment. I've done all my bloodborne pathogens every year. Like, I really
Mm.
do put all that work into it. So I feel like, yeah, the regulations coming into place will definitely be a good thing. And hopefully it does stop this sort of bashing of non-medics because there's bad non-medics and there's also bad medics too.
Of course.
I feel like
Absolutely.
once this comes in, hopefully it will settle down a little bit, and it will also give clients a bit more reassurance that the practitioners that they're going to get treatments are fully qualified and and are equipped to deal with any issues that may happen during their treatment, or yeah, they just will have the confidence that they're going to someone who is knowledgeable and who is able to carry out the treatment to the best of their ability.
Yeah, there just needs to be some industry standardization, doesn't there? I think that's what's lacking at the moment. There's no real standard set.
Mhm.
And I think that that can only be a good thing, whether you're medic, non-medic. And then everybody understands where they stand. Everybody knows what that pathway looks like. If you're committed and you want to do it, then you know that you've got to go through that journey to get to
Yes.
the other end. And then though, like you say, it'll weed out those that aren't necessarily that serious about it, which I think anyone with half a brain cell is in agreement that, that's what we need. We need something in place. So, what do you love most about the industry then, Ellie?
So I definitely say the thing that I love most about the industry is I am in some really good communities. And that includes medics and non-medics, even just some of the people that I've met through training courses, just through online. I've met some girls through Instagram and we've become
Mm.
quite pally with each other. And I do feel like it is a very supportive industry in general. I know that I've just spoke about the bashing of non-medics and things, but I've definitely had a lot more good experiences than
That's
bad.
great. Mm.
And yeah, I just think that the industry as a whole, we're all about making people feel better about themselves, boosting people's confidence. And I do feel like there's a lot of practitioners in the industry that they really do. You can really tell that that is what they're all about, but they're also very supportive and very helpful. And yeah, I love that about this industry. I feel like there is good support system out there for you, and people do actually really want to see you do well.
Yeah, I can agree. And I think it depends on what you surround yourself with, you attract more of, don't you? So I think if
Yeah.
you're in all those negative spaces, you're just going to attract more of that negative space. But I think if you've got that right support network around you, you'll attract
Mhm.
more of the same. And I think you attract like for like as well. Depends what energy you're putting out there, really. If you're constantly negative and in these groups, constantly pulling people, what you're going to get back. So yeah, I think there's an element of just surrounding yourself with the right people and having the right energy there as well. What's your favorite treatment to administer yourself then? Do you have a favorite?
So I must say lips are my favorite to do, 1,000,000%. I just love when you do a set of lips and someone looks in the mirror and they're like, "Wow." I feel like lips as well is normally the first treatment for if someone's never had any aesthetic treatments done, it's normally lips that they start off with. So I do love
Mm,
doing lips. However, I am recently really enjoying carrying out profile balancing treatments.
nice.
I'm seeing a lot of clients coming to me and they're not really sure exactly what it is that they would like done. However, after carrying out a consultation and you can address what it is that they're not happy with, then you can advise them on the best treatment. I have a lot of clients coming in saying like, they've booked in for jaw filler, and then when they come and I've actually assessed their face, assessed the ratio of their face, I'm able to advise, oh, like chin filler may actually be better for you.
Mm.
And I love carrying out those sorts of treatments where not that you've got free rein as such, but you're able to advise someone and explain to them in detail how doing this is going to give you this result.
Mm.
And I'd say, yeah, those appointments are really, really fulfilling because they're always small tweakments, but they make a big difference to the client.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think as well, a lot of clients don't, they think they know what they want, but they don't actually understand all the, like you've said, all that education that you do, all that knowledge that you have, that you can't expect your clients to have that. They don't know. So they just see a ton of jaw filler, on someone's Instagram page and go, that's the thing that I want. So that it's,
Mhm.
that's what I think I need. And then when they come in, you look at them and think, oh, that's actually not what's going to give you what you're after.
Yeah,
And it's being able to have those conversations. So yeah, I can imagine profile balancing is actually really nice because you can maybe
yeah,
give them exactly what they wanted, but not necessarily in the way that they expected it.
yeah, totally.
So, what do you love most about working so closely with clients then? Is it that client journey? Is it improving their confidence? Like what do you get from having those close sort of relationships with your clients?
I'd definitely say that I do love seeing the improvement in their confidence. Or I love when clients will come, they'll get one treatment, and then they'll maybe after their first treatment, we'll discuss what else we can carry out. We sort of put in place a treatment plan. And then when you carry out a treatment, there's no better feeling than when someone can't stop smiling, they're over the moon with their results. I've had a couple people cry. Um, I've
Yeah.
had I've had a million cuddles off people because they've been so happy, and I feel like the type of person I am, I do just enjoy seeing other people happy, and it's a good feeling. Like I can go to bed at night knowing that I've made a difference for someone else. I really, really enjoy that.
Yeah, and there's not many jobs like that. I think they're becoming less, you know.
Yeah,
I was a dental nurse for 7 years, and I think at the very start of my career, I used to feel that way, and then the sort of more difficult it got in the NHS, and the more pressures that there were, and the less, all of that kind of stuff, the less I felt like I could have that impact. And
yeah,
I have friends who work within the NHS in various jobs, and they say the same thing. They used to have that satisfaction, but actually now it's really, really hard to deliver that as much as
yeah.
they want to, just because of the constraints and that are on them. So I think the jobs that give you that satisfaction are definitely less and less now. I think this is one of the industries that really, really does give you that. So how do you feel about the industry in general at the moment? Is there an opinion you'd like to share? Is there anything that we've not touched on with regards to industry before we come back to you and your salon?
So obviously we've discussed the medic non-medic debate, which I do feel like that is probably the biggest thing in the industry at the moment. I also feel like social media, to do with the industry, I see a lot of false advertisement,
Mm,
which is something that in different groups that I'm in, we discuss that sort of thing. I'm seeing a lot of edited pictures, a lot of makeup applied
mm,
after treatment, things like that. And I do feel like that is one problem in the industry is like false advertising and also like results which they just aren't achievable. And it's
mm,
trying to get through to clients. Sometimes they will come in with a picture and they'll say like, "Oh, I want to look like this," and it's trying to explain that to even look remotely like that, you would need to get a lot of filler put in your face, which as a young girl, I never would advise that for clients.
mm.
And also, you look at some of the pictures and you can just see that they are photoshopped, and I just think it's just lying to your clients, basically. I think that there needs to be a lot more honesty and transparency in the industry in general, because you're selling people the dream, basically, and then when they can't achieve those results, they're very confused and they feel let down.
Yeah, and it's only gonna come back on you tenfold anyway because, they're gonna be straight back emailing you or calling you or sending you a message saying, "Yeah, I'm not happy with it. It's not what I paid for." Um,
Exactly.
so it's doing yourself a disservice as well as your clients. But, yeah, I do PMU, so it's a very similar thing with permanent makeup. It's a very similar issue.
Mhm.
There's these beautiful, particularly the sort of Russian artists. They have these absolutely gorgeous photos. They look amazing, but they're so heavily edited. There's no way you're walking away from a lip blush looking like that.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think it's trying to reset that realistic expectation, isn't it?
yeah, totally. That's it. And that's why I say, like, I will always be so honest with my clients, and I would never carry out a treatment if I didn't think we were going to be able to achieve the results that they were looking for. So yeah, I feel like that's a big thing in the industry at the moment is
Mm.
false advertisement. I'm seeing quite a
I
lot of
don't know
that.
how we'll get around that, Ellie, because that's the world that we live in. We live in this
Yeah,
very Instagrammable world where everything needs to look polished and
yeah,
perfect. So I don't see a way out of that unless, there are laws brought in about false advertisement around advertising treatments, and somehow Instagram starts picking up on those types of content, and flagging them. That's the only way that you're going to be able to combat that.
yeah,
And I think the only thing we can do is have those honest conversations when a client brings one in and say, as wonderful and as beautiful as that is, um, that's not what you're going to walk out with today.
yeah. Yeah, that's it, and I feel like clients are becoming a bit more aware of that sorts of
Mm.
thing now. Definitely, like, I had a client in, and she had had her lips done by a practitioner, and the practitioner had actually edited her nose to look smaller,
Wow.
and
Wow.
yeah, had
That's a
edited
first.
the rest of her face, and I was just appalled, like, I was
Yeah.
really shocked, like, it's bad enough when you're editing, and when I say editing, can I just highlight, I mean, actually changing what the
Mm.
picture looks like. Brightness, all that sorts of thing, that's completely
Yeah.
different, obviously. Also,
Contrast, all of that's
yeah.
fine. Yeah. Yeah. Of
All of
course.
that, and also I do sometimes get clients who maybe if they have a little bit of acne on their skin, they'll ask me to
Yeah.
blur their skin slightly. I would never do that unless they asked me to. But yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about actually altering, pulling things out, things like
Yeah.
that. Um, but yeah, I've seen and heard it all, and I just think we're in a job when
I'd
we're
be so
meant to be.
offended because 'cause I'd be like, I walked in and I was okay with my nose, and now I feel like I've got clearly to someone
Yeah,
else thinks I have a big nose that they don't wanna post my
yeah.
photo. I'd be so offended.
Yeah, it would end up giving you a complex about
Yeah.
yourself.
Massively. And like you say, I do with photos. I literally did clients yesterday and I had someone say, "Oh, it's typical. I've got a giant spot there today." And I said, "Oh, it's fine. I can get rid of the spot. It's not a
Yeah,
problem."
and that's
So
totally
that's
different.
fine. Yeah. Because obviously at the end of the day, it's their face splashed all over your feed as well. And if they're
Yeah,
consenting to their photo, then obviously you want to make sure that they're but
totally.
like you say, it's the over editing, it's the Photoshop, it's changing people's features, it's altering the color. For example, if I do a lip blush, it's altering the end color.
Yeah,
I've tattooed it one way and then it looks, more pink or more red because I've edited it. That's not the result that that person was given. So
yeah.
yeah, it's altering with the wrong things, really. Um, so tell us about one of your favorite moments in business so far, Ellie, if you can think of one.
I'd definitely say my favourite moment in business so far was when I opened my salon. It's obviously a
Mm,
huge achievement. When
mm.
I first started out in the lash industry, that was always something that would have been like a dream for me to do. And to be able to do that last year, at 23 years old, I feel like that was a massive achievement. And yeah, that was definitely my favourite moment so far. A lot of tears were shed. Happy tears.
I can imagine, like you say, it's a massive achievement at 23 as well. Like, congratulations.
Yeah.
How was it kind of funding that exercise of going from bare cement to concrete? What was it? Going from bare
Yeah.
concrete to kitting it out because it isn't the cheapest endeavor in the world. Um,
Yeah. It was a lot, and there was a lot of hidden costs too
mm,
that,
yeah.
I hadn't really factored in. However, my dad is a good businessman, and he was able to advise me on everything. He also has friends who are joiners, plumbers, things like that, so
Amazing.
that definitely made a big difference in helping out with the labour. But basically, I just worked hard, really
Mm,
hard, and I didn't spend any money on myself. Like I said last year, didn't go away on holiday.
mm,
Um, I made a lot of sacrifices to be able to get that amount behind me, and yeah, it really did pay off in the long run. Um, and that was able to be my number one focus at the time.
mm.
So I was able to just put that money away, but I just had to save and save hard. I've never saved like that in my life.
Yeah, well done you. And like you say, you've got the fruits of your labour now, so you can enjoy it with your 7 members of
Yeah.
staff. Um, what advice would you give other practitioners wanting to open their own space, given what you know
Um,
now?
so I definitely say, like I just said there, hidden costs. Make
Mm,
sure that you factor in everything. And also a big thing which I think is important is if you're going to own a salon, and especially if you're going to have members of staff working there, you need to be a people person. You need to be a good person to work besides. I think a lot of the time in this industry, there can be a lot of greed from people.
mm,
And I opened that salon. I wasn't looking to make any money off of anyone. I just wanted a nice environment to work in. The
mm,
girls that work in the salon, they pay the rent and they just do as they please. They're very respectful, keep everything
mm.
clean, nice and tidy, and I feel like I've just built up a good relationship with all the members of staff. And yeah, it's just a nice environment to work in. I think a lot of the time you can go into some salons and it's very like a sort of weird vibe, and sometimes the
Mm.
staff aren't friendly. But I definitely say that the team that you work beside when you're opening a salon makes all the difference in the world.
Massively, massively. I always say it just takes one bad egg to kind
Yeah,
of really bring the whole thing down. So
amazing.
yeah, that's why one of my first questions was, how did you put that team together? Because it's not the easiest thing to do, especially when
No.
you get in, past 5 different personalities. 7's a lot of different personalities,
Yeah,
and it's probably one of the biggest challenges as a clinic salon owner to get that right team together. But like you say, it starts from the top. And not everyone, it's one thing owning your own space, like your own room or whatever. You could just have your own tiny little space. It's another thing to own a space with lots of different practitioners. It's a different skill set, and actually, not everybody's suitable for that. Not everyone's suitable to be in that management position in a way. They don't possess that natural quality, and sometimes they don't realize that or find that out until they've gone and done it. And it's the same in the tattoo industry. I've worked with a lot of tattoo artists, and it's a similar sort of thing there, really.
yeah,
Some people should just own their own little space just for 1 or 2 of them. Other people can own a space with, 5, 6, 7 people. They're really quite good with people. They're quite a warm character. They're easy to get along with. So it
yeah,
just works. It definitely affects the vibe of the space for sure.
yeah, 1,000,000%.
Yeah, it really does. What's been one of your biggest challenges so far then? I've got a feeling you're probably going to say the opening of the salon.
Yeah, definitely that has been my biggest challenge so far. I also feel like it's been quite a challenge coming when I first came into the industry, and even now there is a lot of animosity from other practitioners in the
Mm,
area. They see you as competition, which I don't see anyone as competition. I think that everyone's in their own lane, doing their own thing. There's plenty of
mm,
clients to go around. So I have had to deal with a bit of jealousy. I'd say it was. There's not really any other way describe it, maybe a bit
Yeah.
intimidated by me. However, I take that as a compliment. I've had a few rumours spread, I've had a few reports being made, which that's fine because I do everything by the book anyways.
Mm.
And my clients all know that all my products I order through Faces
Mhm.
Pharmacy. And yeah, so I feel like that has been a bit of a challenge too, has been the sort of animosity from other practitioners. But I just take it on the chin, and like I said, I take it as a compliment.
Yeah, it's all you can do, isn't it? And I think this does happen. I had a similar thing with a practitioner from the next town over.
Mhm.
And it was, at first I was a bit like, oh, you've got to be kidding. I tried to help this person. I was quite insulted. But then I thought, well, actually, it's purely because they see something in me that either
Yeah.
they're jealous of, or I'm causing them to feel inferior in some way because of the way
Yes.
that I work, because of the way that I put out, because of the way that I operate my business. And instead of taking my help that I initially offered, they decided to go the other way. So it's their loss, really. But it
Yeah.
definitely took me a good couple of weeks to come round to that thinking, because I was like, oh, but I really tried with this person, and I really internalized it. I think,
Yeah.
to start
It's
with,
hard.
it is hard. It's hard not to, but like you say, I think it is quite common, and you've just got to just keep on keeping on, like you say, stick in your own lane, and yeah, it's not your concern how they do things. And if you're doing everything by the book, you're using all the right products, you behaving as you should, then you haven't really got anything to worry about.
Yeah, totally.
So what's next for you and for your salon then? Have you got any plans in the pipeline?
So I definitely want to continue with some training courses. I always love learning new things. I feel like this year I'm going to push more face treatments, as in skin boosters and polynucleotides.
Mm.
I also just qualified in body piercing.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
yeah, that'll be a new treatment that I'm offering in the salon as well. And hopefully in the next few years, maybe look at opening a second location or expanding the salon. That's definitely on my vision board for the next couple of years.
Oh, well done you. That's really fun that you've added in the piercings as well.
Yeah, just something a little bit different. And
Yeah,
I already had the needle experience, so I figured,
yeah,
and it's actually piercings are a lot more less complicated than aesthetic treatments.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're a consent user, as you mentioned earlier. So what features are your favorite on the app, and how have they helped you to grow your business?
So I really love how easy to navigate and easy to use the consent forms are. I love that you can forward them on to clients prior to their appointment. I like the layout, and I think that it's really good that you can customize all your forms, and it's got all the information that you need right in one place. It's so easy to refer back to. And I also love the shop service, the prescribing service. Again, very easy to navigate. I've never had any issues. And it's so good just having everything all in the one place. Literally anything work related I can do on Faces, and that's really convenient for me.
Oh, thanks, Ellie. That's great feedback. So thank you very much. We have come to the end of our podcast episode. Was there anything that you wanted to touch on? Anything you wanted to talk about? Before we get your kind of social media details and stuff for the listeners.
No, I think that we've pretty much covered everything. It's been really enjoyable.
Yeah, you've been an absolute pleasure, and like congratulations. I can't believe that you've managed to kind of fly through that in the last couple of years. And I think it just says so much about you as a person, so much about you as a practitioner. It's been nice to get you on, because I think there's a lot of scaremongering at the moment about everything being too saturated. It's the wrong time, you've missed your boat, you can't do it now. And you've literally disproved all of that in the last couple of years. And actually, there's nothing quite like hard work. So yeah, well
Totally.
done. You deserve it. You deserve every success. Where can our listeners find you online, Ellie?
So I am on Facebook and Instagram just as Ellie Jean Aesthetics, all one word. And I also am on the Faces app. And My salon Instagram is hot since 99 salon as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'll pop those links in the show notes as well, Ellie. But thank you for joining us today. And we'll catch up with you maybe in another year's time. How about that? We'll see how you're getting on.
Yeah, that would be fabulous. Thank you so much for inviting me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Ellie. Bye.